Authors Unplugged. Thanks so much for joining us. This week we have Dragonblade authors Mary Lancaster, Emily EK Murdoch, and Cara Hogarth. Ladies, thank you so much for taking time to talk to us today from all over the world. We'll talk about that later, but that part's kind of exciting this week. So I'm tired of saying this because I say it every week. We have a busy week of Dragonblade this week. We have 4 releases. Maggie Anderson was not able to join us today, but I'll pop her books links in the comments, and we'll talk to her sometime in the future. But ladies, thanks so much for being here.
Oh, our pleasure.
Lovely.
Oh,
So
pleasure, yeah.
Mary, your book is The Temptation of the Artist. And we're going to do you first because I know that you're somewhere where you're a little worried about your internet. So I want to make sure that we have a chance to talk to you. But your book is The Temptation and the Artist, and it's book 2 in the Gentleman of Pleasure series, which is a spinoff of the Pleasure Garden series. Is that right?
That's right. Yes.
So can you tell us a little bit about your book?
Yeah, well, basically, they're both been secondary characters in the Pleasure Garden series. And in fact, the heroine, Aline, was also in the Season of Scandal series. She was a secondary character in both of these. So it's time she had her own story. She's a very different kind of heroine. She's very capable and brave and has done lots of things that women didn't really do at the time. But so now she finally meets somebody who's just a bit different. She doesn't really know why she likes this guy, but she does. And he's an artist, and he turns out to be the only person who actually sees her as she is, and not as
I love that.
Legend or what she's done. He just sees who she is, which I think is quite a nice idea.
Isn't that the core of, like, I think that is the core of the love story, is that you meet the person who sees you for who you are. I think that's if you have to boil it down to one thing, it's the being seen
Yes.
and being accepted.
Exactly.
And
being an artist, I think, is a good way to show that.
Yeah.
Because he starts off just wanting to paint her because she's an interesting person, and then he sees more and more, and she starts seeing more of him as well. So it's quite nice, I think. I'm biased, of course.
I love that idea. I love that idea so much, and I love the covers for this series, not just because of the shirtless men, although that is,
it certainly helps.
It's fine, but they really are just really beautiful covers.
They are
the box title and the composition and they've been kind of dark and jewelly. It's like I love the way the series is branded. So that sounds like such a delight. I can't wait for that one. So. Okay. Emily, you have the second book in your DePetra saga that came out this week, and it is The Impoverished Dowry. I said it right instead of diary. Dowry.
Well done. Yes, so this is book 2 of a family saga. So if you've read book 1, it's not essential, but if you have, you would have met Opal and Jasper and their rascals of children. We're in book 2, children are all grown up, and it is time to get the next generation married off. Unfortunately, this book kind of opens with a bit of a loss of fortunes from the family. There's been trouble at sea. The family shipping business has lost some ships, and so dowry's gone. Now, Cora's always longed for a love match, and so she decides that if she doesn't get to have a love match because she's got to marry for money, then she doesn't want to just settle for anyone. She's got a list of requirements and qualities that she's going to demand for her future husband, which is, I think all of us, deep down have a list of requirements of what we'll accept and what standards we want. Cora publishes it in a newspaper ad, which is perhaps not how most people will go about it. And the Duke of Glenham reads this and thinks, I have to meet whatever outrageous woman decides that she's so great, so impressive, that she can include this hugely long list that's incredibly particular, and so manages to wangle an introduction. And unfortunately, he doesn't meet all the requirements, but he's absolutely obsessed with this woman. Coral is just nothing like anyone else he's ever met, and so he rather boldly offers his services to help her find the perfect gentleman. And off we go into adventure. So it's, dashing dukes, very opinionated heroine. It's very contrary. A duke who is very determined to be proven right. And just in case there wasn't enough going on, lots of family drama going on in the background. So there's a whole lot to pack in.
Oh, that sounds like so much fun. And I love that the characters in your books are named after stones. You know, it's like
I really like it. I'm biased, as Mary says. I think we've got to be a little bit biased towards our characters, but I think it's
today, you know.
Oh, it just, I've talked in previous videos about how this family just kind of walked into my mind, which doesn't often happen. Often, that's not kind of where I start. I don't start with characters. But this family did, and they had their names, and as much as I wished to change them to be a little bit more natural sounding, I didn't get to decide. So it's gemstone. The De Petras means rock, so as well, you've got that kind of gemstone vibe going on there.
And the covers for these are gorgeous too. They all have jewelry on them. They're like the coral piece on the sides.
I ordered a paperback because I really wanted to show it in this video, but it hasn't arrived yet. So if you haven't seen it, please do go look at it. I'm sure you'll be putting links to all our books in the comments. But it is like I don't think visually at all. So seeing the covers that are designed for Dragonblade books are just incredible. I just obsessively look at them.
Yeah. It's like your first experience with, you get like the tease of the story and the cover before you get to get into the story. So
it's so good.
Lovely. I love a heroine that's bold enough to like not just know what she wants, but like publish what she wants. That's
I mean,
like next level stuff.
I think Coral is probably the character in this family that's most like me. She's the eldest. She's very opinionated. She's not afraid to let people know her opinions. But like, there's a real like gentleness to her. She's very self-conscious a lot of the time. Sort of flaming red hair, as you'd expect with a name like Coral. And I think she's, like Mary said, I think everyone sees her in a certain way. This very bold, very brash, very opinionated, very determined woman. And like, that's a part of her, absolutely, but it's not all of her. And I think that's why I love the Duke of Glenham so much, is that he's someone who sees through a lot of the facade that she puts up. And I loved writing that.
Yeah, that sounds like so much fun. Cara, this is your first book with Dragonblade, and it's her The Minstrel and Her Knight. And it's book 1 in the Minstrel series, and we're going back further in time with your series. Can you tell us a little bit about your book?
Okay, I was really pleased. Runner-up in inaugural, what's it called? The Right Stuff competition.
The Right Stuff competition.
So Phil Reed came. Yeah, so Reed came first, and she fully deserves it. Second with The Minstrel and Her Knight, and it's set in a medieval 100 Years' War. If any of you are not familiar with the 100 Years' War, basically England fought France, tried to. That's in the 14th and 15th century. So there's a lot of knights in Shire and all the typical medieval stuff. So that's a thing. So it's about two people who want to be minstrels but absolutely can't. And one of them, so my heroine has to go father, who happens to be in the 100 Years' War, people money, most of all out of capturing them and holding them for ransom, So my heroine's father, she must go and rescue him because her brother is going to leave him to rot in jail. So she has to disguise herself. War-torn France, because you've got to be a boy, otherwise you'll get taken advantage of. But she needs a protector, so she gets herself her brother's friend boy, and thinks he just needs to protect her through France. And of course, I don't know, he begins to wonder why he wants to wear a hood, why she's so keen on, keeping herself out of the light. And Yes, actually the hood comes off.
It's Mulan and Yentl in the Middle Ages. I'm so excited.
Disguises, especially girls dressing up as boys, because really they had it hard back then.
Yeah.
Yeah, they couldn't do what they wanted. I've got to dress her up as a boy as she can.
Well, and you have a bold heroine too, who knows what she wants to do and is willing to take the steps that she needs to do to be able to do something that should be impossible for her.
Absolutely.
Cool.
It's kind of, I don't know, taking her on an adventure I would like to go on myself.
Yeah. Wonderful. Wonderful. So I hinted at it, or actually didn't hint at it. I just came right out and said it in the beginning that everybody's all over the place. And Mary is drinking wine. And just so those of you who are watching know, she's not drinking wine at 12 o'clock on a Friday, which is when you'll be watching this. She's drinking wine after 5 o'clock in her time because she is in
Turkey.
Yay!
And it's warm and it's lovely and sunny and beautiful. And I'm feeling really lucky and pleased with myself.
Are you on holiday?
Yes. Yeah, but we had a big holiday. We've been here for more than 3 weeks. So we're staying for a month altogether.
Oh.
And the kids were all out earlier, but they've all gone home now because they couldn't.
Oh, that's even better.
Well, yes, in many ways. I think they're enjoying themselves without us, and I suspect my daughter's having what they call in Scotland an empty, which is a party in a house where your parents have gone. So, but her brother's with her, so hopefully that will work out fine too.
Oh, well, it sounds lovely. So you have one more week there before you go back?
Yeah.
So is there anything that you particularly like about being able to immerse yourself into a place for that long? Because if you stay for a month, you get more of a feel of the place than you would if you were just.
Yes, partly that, and partly it's nice to be able to relax and not run about all over the place. So we can go out if and when we want to. We can go and do little boat trips or wander into the big town, do some shopping, see some sights or whatever, or we can just hang about the garden or wander about the village and sit around drinking wine, either here or in the village or wherever. It's just, but it's a really nice, quiet place and there's no stresses. I think I've been working pretty much non-stop since the pandemic because I thought, right, great excuse. I don't need to go out. Yeah. There's nothing I have to do, so I'll just write. But I think it's time to recharge the batteries, and I think I've done that. So
yeah, that makes perfect sense. We've talked about that. Before with some of the authors about how you refill. Because creating is such an intensive process, and then there has to be a way then to refill the well. So I'm glad you're finding some time to do that.
Thank you. Me too.
And Cara, it's way late at night.
Are you resisting?
Resisting writing?
Absolutely.
Yes.
It's 10 o'clock at night.
We've definitely got a delay.
Yeah. Cara, you're in Australia?
I'm sorry?
Okay. Yeah, I'm in Western Australia. Oh, sorry about the delay. Yeah, I'm in Australia, which no tourists ever come to. And I'm 700 kilometers away from the city.
Oh my goodness. So you're way out then. Oh, that's fascinating. And it's late where you are.
So it's in the middle of nowhere.
Oh
yeah.
So we talked about the delay, and I'm always kind of frustrated with the technology and trying to figure out how to get and lots of times it's my internet that's dodgy. But the fact that we can do this, where I can sit in Virginia and talk to Mary in Turkey and Cara in Australia and Emily in England is kind of like, that's kind of snazzy. That's kind of amazing. That would not be something that would have happened when I was a kid. So that's very cool. So, Emily, what's it like where you are?
It was gorgeous this morning, but it's clouded out. It's standard British weather. We had sunshine for about 20 minutes, and then the British weather went, "Oh, we can't have that. We can't have nice weather for more than a day." So it's clouding over, but that's kind of nice. Like, I don't want to get dramatic. Yeah, I know that a lot of our readers who are living in places like Australia or Texas, I've got a lot of readers in Texas, laugh at me when I say 20 degrees this morning, and I was baking. Like, I am not accustomed to heady heights of 20 degrees. So 20 degrees centigrade is double, and then at 7 Fahrenheit. I mean, it was too much. I was thinking. So I'm kind of enjoying the fact that it's cooling down a bit.
I'm in Virginia, and we're having over 90 degrees all week long. And I was sitting outside last night, and it was dark. It was dark. And I was sitting outside on my patio, and I was sweating. And I thought, this is just not the way it's supposed to be. You know, it's like you can get like that break when the sun goes down, the temperature should go down too. But it has just been, this week is blistering. So.
I can do up to like 80 Fahrenheit if it's dry heat. But as soon as you get like humid, sticky, I basically can't function. Like, my brain just melts out of my ears. I can't do anything. Luckily, I live in a country where it's very rarely warm, so I never have to worry about it.
Well, I got excited like a little kid when I saw where everybody was, because I'm feeling so stuck and sticky right now, and I would love to be anywhere other than where I am, because the Southeast is just miserable this week. So hopefully it will get better. So we talked a little.
Sorry, I was going to say, Cara, is it winter with you? Is it autumn?
Yeah, can you see my jumper? It's really cold.
Oh, man.
I just wanted to twist the knife into Evelyn a little bit more.
Unnecessary.
That wound.
Unnecessary, Emily. Come on, man. Mary, would you like to take a sip of your wine now again while I'm thinking about Kara's jumper?
There you go.
So Cheers. This is the Dragonblade Unplugged, in which the Dragonblade authors are mean to the host.
Oh, we're not mean.
That's the one.
Unpleasant, maybe.
So we talked a little bit about refilling the well, and we have a range of time periods now. Can we talk a little bit about what you do for research, and then also, Mary, I'm curious if like Cara, I'm curious about what you do for research, because your time period is in the past, and there's an interview. Cara did an interview for us. It's on the Dragonblade website. If you haven't had a chance to look at it, you should go look at it, because she answered some questions for us, and it's lovely. But I know you talked a little bit about your love for the medieval period, and I'm wondering, like, what it's like for you to research a story and then get kind of tickled by an idea. And I was thinking, Mary, when you were talking about being in Turkey, if there's something that, even if it's not something that directly translates to your book, something that just catches you and starts to tickle your brain and makes you want to go.
Yeah, often. It can just be somebody you bump into, and something about them makes you think of something else, or, you know, it just, or a custom, or or something I would quite like to write in the future. I'm thinking sort of Ottoman Empire and when the Ottoman invasion of this part of Turkey, and I'm thinking there's a good story in there. There is, but having the time to write it is another matter. The research, of course, is what takes up most of the time for something like that. But
I think there's something about the feeling the flavor of a place, or catching a glimpse of the person that tickles you. So, Cara, can you talk a little bit about the research that you did for your book?
Oh, sorry. Are you talking to? I couldn't hear. I did it in medieval history, possibly because I'm over the other side of I don't know, living in the past from research. I would love to travel to like places like Turkey. I have been, but at the moment I'm stuck in Western. There's so very little of that. The I write, so I have to order a lot to read all this stuff, and yeah. So I'm looking forward to being able to travel and get my
I think that's one of the things. The first time I went to Europe from the States, and you realize, oh, we're just babies, like we haven't been here any time at all, because everything is so much older and built on so much, like history layered on top of history, layered on top of history, layered on top of history. And
well, can I give you an example of that? So as
please.
you can tell from my delightful accent, I am English. I grew up in Canterbury, which is like Roman. It goes all the way back. But I went to university in York, and I actually did history and English as my undergrad, but then medieval studies as my postgrad. So Cara, you and I offline need to seriously catch up on medieval stuff. But one of my seminars during my history degree was hosted in a room which was where King Henry VIII slept on a visit to York. And it's just a room with like a board table in the middle, and it's a seminar, and I did Norman history there. And it's like, oh yeah, it's King's Manor. It used to be Abbott's Manor. The old monastery's just there, but this happens to be where his bed was. No big deal. Right, we're going to look at charters from the 1100s. Has everyone done their prep reading? And like, that's just part of living in places that are just so old.
Yeah. Yeah, that's amazing. And I've heard that Chaucer did something with Canterbury too. So that,
Cara, seriously, come over here. I mean, I love Canterbury. And it's a small medieval walled city with, walls, Roman based, river going through it, cathedral in the middle. And then I was going to university, and I thought, where do I want to go? So I went to York, which is quite a small city, medieval, walled, founded by Romans, river going through it, Minster in the middle. I have a type when it comes to places I want to live. And now I'm just outside Bath, which is a small sort of town, medieval, Roman-based. There were walls going around it. There's definitely a river in the middle, and there's a big abbey in the centre. So there's a type of place that I like to live. But to be quite honest, there are very few places in England or Scotland, Wales, Ireland that don't have these like really long histories. Like,
yeah,
I love place names, and you look at some of these place names, and they go back, it's only 1,200 years old as a place name.
Yeah.
And you suddenly realize like how far back all of this goes.
Oh, very cool. Cara, I'm embarrassed to say that the I know very little about Australia, except the falling in love with it when I was 16 and read Colleen McCullough, along with everybody else who was 16 at that time and slightly older. Can you tell us a little bit about what it's like where you are?
It's really isolated, even for Australia. Yeah, I'm going to drive up to our capital city in 2 days' time, and it'll take me all 8 hours drive. And I live where there are absolutely beautiful beaches, just white sand and blue sea and lots of islands. So it looks a little bit Scotland sometimes. And I grew up on a sheep farm, and the lambs are just coming out, and they're looking very cute. And yep, it's not yet bad. It's a lovely corner of Australia.
Oh, wonderful. Well, hopefully we'll get to all get together geographically in some place sometime soon.
I volunteer Bath, partly because of then it's like 20 minutes away for me and I'm really lazy, but partly because it's so pretty. And I think almost every Dragonblade author that I've met that is Australian or American is desperate to come to England, and so I vote Bath.
That would work for me. And it's kind of closer for Mary when she's not in Turkey too, right?
Yeah, I can get to Bath. It'll take a long time, but I can get there. God bless British Rail. Yeah.
So, ladies, can we talk a little bit about what you have coming up next?
I was
know... No, go ahead, Cara. Oh, right. Go ahead, Cara. I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead. You were born in...
Oh, okay. Sorry, there's an awful gap here. I was Salisbury, so that's just around the corner from Bath. And I wrote a piece in creative writing, and I did it on the wife of Bath. I had to go to Bath to go and check it out. And did you know that Bath used to have walls just in Canterbury?
I knew I liked it for a reason.
So, Cara and Emily, sounds like you have a lot in common.
Us medievalists, we have to stick together.
Absolutely.
There's not enough of us.
So, ladies, can we talk a little bit about what you have coming up? I know that.
Why don't you write in the medieval era?
I did a little bit. So my first ever series, which isn't Dragonblade, so I won't take up too much time, is a medieval series. But I found that Regency, because I hadn't studied it, ended up challenging me a little bit more, and it kind of drew me out of myself. I found that when I write medieval, it ends up being a textbook because I have so much knowledge. And then I get to the end of it and I'm like, wow, that's just a biography. That's not interesting at all. I personally find it really hard. So when I step out of my natural happy place time zone, the story's better. It's probably not as well researched. It's probably not as in depth as a medieval book would be. But yeah, when I write Regency, the story kind of speaks for itself and the characters kind of speak for themselves. When I write medieval, it's a constant battle. It's not be like, and did you know in this month? And then it all falls apart.
Right. Ken Follett side tours into banking and
yeah. I end up putting footnotes in, and I'm like, no one's gonna read this. I'm like, no one wants to know.
That makes perfect sense. So, Mary, you have more. I know you've got more Gentlemen of Pleasure for us coming up.
Yeah, there's two more. One next month and one the month after. There's if I can remember the titles, they're eluding me for the moment. It seems a while ago since I wrote them. What's up with the one that's up next?
Oh my goodness, you have no idea how much better I feel that you don't remember your titles, because I always have to stop and think, and then I have to look stuff up, and it's like, well, if she doesn't know, then I can get the words in the wrong order and it's not terrible.
No, I'm hopeless with words, which is not good for a writer.
But two Gentlemen of Pleasure coming up in the next 2 months, and then I know we're doing a big ad for the Pleasure Garden series too. So if you guys haven't read that one yet, my goodness, the covers for those are beautiful too. But the setup for that series is great. It's like a chance for good people to find like little naughty niches. So that seems like seems like so much fun. Emily, you have a few more in the De Petra saga coming out. Do you have anything planned for after that?
Yeah, I've got 3 more De Petra saga books coming out. So the Contrary Debutante is next. I do have another series that is coming out, but the contract is going to land in my inbox any day now. And so until I've signed on that dotted line, I'm not going to talk about it publicly. I will give 3 clues. Mistaken identity, dukes, spies.
Oh, fun!
I think by the time the next book in the De Petra saga comes out, then that contract will be signed, and I'll feel a lot more confident talking about it. Yeah, I'm very excited about it. It's challenging me in a little bit. I've done spies before, but I've not done a series on spies or with spies as a major theme. And I'm an absolute sucker for Mistaken Identity. I cannot get enough when I'm reading it, and I've written a few, but not enough.
So, well, that sounds like very much fun. I can't wait. And Carol, we get more minstrel nights.
Yeah, I sent off my book, which is called The Rose and Her Knight.
Oh,
So
lovely.
it's again somebody dressing up as a minstrel this time. The idea is a bit of a castle and grows roses, hence the rose. And our hero needs to disguise himself as a minstrel, sneak into her castle and woo her with love songs. It's not as easy as it seems, because the castle suddenly comes under siege and breaks loose. But yes, the love story.
I have a new life goal. I would like to live in a castle and grow roses and be wooed by song. It's going to be my new life goal. That or to travel with Mary, one of the two. Ladies, it's been a delight to talk to you today. I really appreciate you taking the time. I appreciate everybody making the time zone difference work out, because I know that was a bit of a challenge, and I really appreciate you making the effort to do that. It was lovely to live vicariously through you and see where everyone is today, and hear about all the wonderful books that are coming out this week. Dragonblade books are the very best deal if you get them on your pre-order period and the day of release. It's the best deal around, and you always know you're going to get a story with a happily ever after and a tale that will let you escape the heat of wherever you happen to be too. So I'll make sure to pop the link for all 4 books, including Maggie Anderson's book. It's that releases this week as well, in the comments, so you can grab them if you haven't gotten them already. And we will be back here the same time next week. Thanks again for taking the time. I appreciate it, ladies.
Thanks all.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay.